Alright, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna try to make a little pouch out of leather. I bought some leather. I bought this leather here because I wanted to make a sheath for my axe, a mask for my axe, and I did that actually. This axe mask, and we learned a few things making this thing. I needed it, so this is what I ended up making. I think it works just fine. I learned a few things though. I learned to draw my template on the inside, because now I'm stuck with this goofy looking Sharpie on the outside. And I learned that I don't have rivets, I only have buttons, so this would come off, you know, and I could lose that. So I think I want to figure out a different, well, I guess I won't need to for the bag. I guess buttons are fine for the bag. Okay, never mind. I think my stitching, I want to do it cleaner for the bag. This really, I just needed something to work, just something to cover my axe. But this is like some tooling leather. And then this is, I don't know, some thinner leather. It's prettier too. So I'm gonna start by cleaning that off and give myself some space. Alright, so here's my piece. This is a straight edge. And I guess this part is a straight edge. And there's just this little part left over, but this isn't straight. And obviously that's not straight. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna square this boy off. So I'm probably gonna end up doing like taking off some there, so I can get a straight line from there to there. Actually, looking at it, these don't look parallel. This one does not look parallel to this one. So I'll have to figure out how to make this square. Alright, so here's what I ended up with. Just went ahead and squared this thing off. So this will be my workable area right here. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what happened. Oh yeah, so now I'm just gonna cut it out, and then we'll start seeing how this can fold up to be a pouch. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna do like an envelope style, so maybe it'll be like this, and then this will come over and be the, you know, like the cover, and this would be your pouch. Could even probably get away with a pretty small cover. That way I could have some more room in there. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it out. Okay, so this is how I want to do it. We're gonna have, this is gonna be the pouch, right? And gonna be able to put stuff down in there. Mostly I want this just for my backpack for camping and stuff, to put like little tools in. So because I have a bunch of pencils and like screwdrivers and just little miscellaneous stuff to maintain the rest of my gear. And I think, you know, that should be a good size. And it doesn't need to be complicated. And I mean, I guess even if I wanted to, I could put, you know, I could get a, obviously here, I could get a strip like this and kind of sew it on there like that, you know, that way I would have a place for the even smaller tools to go in. I don't know if I'm confident enough in my skills to do that yet. So I think all I'm going to do is I'm just going to round off these edges here, punch some holes to stitch here, and yeah, I think if it's not already obvious, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I said, that axe mask was the first thing I made out of any leather at all. So yeah, I'm just going to round these edges off and we'll go from there. Alright, so we got her squared off. We got her rounded up on the part that's going to be the flap. Another thing I learned when I was making that is it's pretty difficult to set these buttons after you've already created the form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one button there and one button there that's going to correspond to whatever, a place that the button connects here and a place that the button connects here. So you'll be able to button it there and there. So I'm going to line it up how I imagine I'm going to want it. And then I'm going to mark where I want those buttons. And I'm going to actually seat the buttons before I do anything else. I could be making a mistake, but I mean, I don't really know. Last time it seemed like that's not what I want to do. So that's the hole, just using this little punch. And like I said, I don't do this. I don't know how to do this. So if you're a leather dude, a dude who does leather, you know what I'm saying? And you're looking at my little puny little punch and like the wrong hammer, I know. I'm well aware. Alright, so that's all 4 holes punched. Next step is to put the buttons. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seat these buttons in here. So they come in 2 parts. You have the part of the button that accepts, I guess this would be like the female part, and then you have the male part. Right, so this would be, that male part would be there, female part would be there, you'd snap it in place there. And each piece has a corresponding like attaching piece. So if I remember, yeah. This, am I wrong? No. This would go in like that. And then this kind of snaps on there. And then this would go there. And then it would have this cap to connect it. So let's do, first let's see what color I want. So I've got these golden ones. I already think I want these. Yeah, this is the one I want. So I'll pull out all of those pieces. So we'll need 2 of those, and we'll need two of these. And like I said, I think these are pretty cheap. I imagine if I was doing some real leather work, I would buy some that don't come already warped. And when I was testing them out, it really doesn't take all that much to rip them apart. So I guess the good thing about that is if I did find some better ones, or if I found that these were just useless, I mean, I could just, excuse me, ooh, I could just pop them off and then I guess buy new ones and stick them in there. So for this one, it's just as simple as lining that boy up. And then this kit came with this little, they call it a convex tool, I think. And then I don't know how well you can see in there, but down in there, there's a little thin tube, basically. That would be this. And when you seat this in there and strike it, it flares out. And it flares out inside of this piece. So, you know. So let's do that now. Now for this one, I've done it too hard before. So I think just 1 or 2 good strikes is all it needs. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. And this piece of leather, cost me less than $10 for sure. I think less than like $7. So this whole setup, under 20 bucks. Where did my thing go? Let's do that again. And there we go. And now we'll do the other half, the other shit. We'll stick these in there, right? No. Because it'll be clipping in like this. So these will come in this way. Now this is a little more interesting to me. It has this little base plate that kind of fits in that, you know. And then it has this concave tool with a little divot, and all you do is line everything up and give it some of that, as far as I can tell. Yeah, so alright, I goofed that one up a little bit. Okay, so let's try this again. That's gonna go there. This piece is gonna line up like that. This is gonna go here, and we're just gonna that looks a lot better. That actually looks real good. That'll do it. Okay, so for the most part, it looks like the shape is good. Like, that's good. This will snap in there, and that will snap in there. Will it? Yeah, it will. Alright. Alright, that little dude overheated. But what I was saying is, I know I'm doing this wrong because I don't have the right tools, but the way I do it is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to 1 by 1 punch the holes that I'm going to stitch just with this sharpened screwdriver. And every time I do a hole, I'm going to obviously flatten it out and line it up as good as I can. And every time I do a hole, I'm going to stick a little nail through there, you know, because if I punch a hole here and then it moves over slightly and then I punch a hole here, when I line it back up, that hole's not going to align and it's going to cause a bunch of problems. So for each hole I punch, one of these is going to come through, and then when I'm ready to stitch, I'll just take these out one by one. So yeah, I'm just going to punch a bunch of holes. I'm not going to record that. Alright, this is what I came up with. I just used this ruler every, what did I do? Every eighth of an inch, quarter inch, I don't know. I just punched a little guide hole, and then I'm going to line this up, flatten that thing out, and punch through both. And like I said, I already told you. Alright, so here's what I ended up with. I think those holes are uniform enough for me. Yeah, I imagine this is not the ideal way to do it because you could see it kind of tears up the leather quite a bit. And also I know, I know that before I stitch, I should make a groove so that the thread or the sinew has somewhere to fall into, but I just don't have the tools for that, so I will not be doing that. But like I said, all I'm doing is I'm coming in here, flattening this out. You can see it's nice and flat and connected now. Flattening this out, and actually something I didn't mention is just to get the initial kind of creases. You can kind of see that crease there. I just folded it where I wanted and just took a hammer to it like this. So that kind of gave me this crease and that crease, and then just flatten that out, and then just come through with this, stick it in there, and punch all the way through. Just slam on this with a hammer, and then take one of these and stick it up through the back. So yeah, I'll hit you up whenever I start stitching this thing. Alright, so this is where we're at. Both sides are pinned together. I think it's starting to look cool. It's real simple, but I just want to teach myself the basics. But here's my predicament. This is like my, yeah, okay, whatever. This is all I have to sew with, to stitch it with. This is the inside of some paracord. I used on there, what are you doing? I used on there some artificial sinew, and that stuff's real nice. But I don't have any more of that. So I know this will hold up. I know this will work fine. It's just a little slippery, so I would have to, I don't know, figure out a good stitch that won't slip or a good knot that won't slip. But what I want to do is I think I want to dye this, because it'll you know what I'm saying, you know, it's white and that's dark. So I think I want to dye this, just maybe using some wood stain, or I don't know. I'll look into it, how to dye this, and then we'll start stitching. Alright, so I don't think it's going to be a good idea to try to dye this stuff with wood stain, and I don't really want to wait for paint to dry, and I don't think that's a good idea. I just don't want to be mixing, because I imagine this stuff is like plastic, polyester, and I don't want to be putting chemicals on there and have it degrade without me knowing, or catch fire, some weird shit. So I'm just gonna just let the white, I don't know, just let the white pop. And I imagine over time, using this thing and handling this thing, it'll patina out. Alright, so I did this, like I said, just in one, out the back, you know. And so now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to just do it again the opposite way. So from here, we end it out at the front. So my first one's going to be going back to the back, just like this. So what that's going to do is that's going to put a stitch in between those gaps on both sides. Alright, so this is where we're at now. It's like pretty much done. I like it. I like it a lot. It's like a big leather envelope. I honestly think the white stitching isn't bad. We'll clean this up. I don't think it looks bad. I think it's a little bit more straight than my axe mask. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sand it down a little bit on that thing. Like that'll do. I forgot to say, I tied that square knot, I burned the ends down so it would fatten up, and then I put a drop of super glue on each thing. But I just messed up right now by not waiting for it to dry. I did that to that one, and then I didn't do it to that one until right now, and I did it with my finger. But whatever. So that's that. Alright, so you just saw me put some neat's foot oil on that boy, and I think we're about done. I think it looks great. And it would work. Got our matches, we got our freaking blade, and we got our screwdriver in there. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Turned out good.